Ladies and gentlemen, CNN, the New York Times, New York Post, Washington Examiner have all reported in the past couple of hours that former President Donald Trump is going to announce, very likely before midterms. Now, the interesting thing is that the critique from Republican strategists is that Trump announcing before the midterms will take away possibly 5 seats or 5 victories within congressional contests. And my rebuttal to that would be, there is no Republican Party now without Donald Trump. So there is no, if you are relying on disdain and contempt for Trump as a Democratic candidate, you're going to lose. As a Democratic candidate, you have to tell your voters that Mashed Potato Brains Joe, the Democratic Party, Democrats in the House, the Senate, and the executive have done a stellar job in terms of economic growth, foreign policy, jobs. They've done a fantastic job. You can't do that if you're a Democrat. We're in a recession. We have 8 to 9% inflation, and I called this in September. Okay, how many people in September of 2021 were talking about this? By the way, I will have a live stream today at around 2:33 p.m. So be here for the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. And subscribe to the Nuclear Confrontation and Stock Market Crash channel. I have a very important segment on the Satan II missile, which it's a thing, unfortunately. And I talk about that. Could level the UK and all of Europe. I talk about that on the Nuclear Confrontation channel. And oil prices 150, Bitcoin 10K, Recession channel. So those 2 channels are just, full of happy news, wonderful, stories. And oil prices will eventually hit 150. We have hurricane season that could affect refineries on the Gulf Coast. And we have climate change activists who say, you see, there's a lot of, really bad hurricanes. Well, can you guarantee that your policies of trying to, end our use of fossil fuels will then ensure that we don't have devastating hurricanes? Nobody can guarantee that. Yes, climate change is real and it's important, yes. But what Biden did, and that's going to hurt. So subscribe to those 2 channels. Be here for the live stream. But what Biden did is he came into office with executive orders and with Build Back Better and with everything that he could have done. He came into office trying to remove our reliance from fossil fuels, to transform the U.S. economy from an economy based on oil and gas, like every other economy on the planet, to renewables. That is what his stated goal was. And then he wanted net zero carbon emissions in 10 years. He wanted all of these things right after demand had sunk to record lows because Democrats gleefully tanked their economy. State economies. Okay, here's just one example. On December 8th, here, President Biden signs executive order catalyzing America's clean energy economy through federal sustainability. December 8th, 2021. Do you want to know when the geopolitical crisis happened? Months later. Just within 3-4 months. Oil and gas became the national security and geopolitical issues they always were. His administration miscalculated yet again. And so the Democratic Party only exists. So the Democrats have presided over absolute catastrophe in terms of the economy, absolute horrendous foreign policy, and there's no end in sight in terms of geopolitical quagmires. Lord knows what could happen next. Taiwan and China, Lord knows. We have 8 to 9% inflation. Biden came in trying to transform the economy into a clean energy economy. That's just one of his By here, White House, this is April 22nd, 2020. President Biden sets 2030 greenhouse gas pollution reduction target aimed at creating good-paying union jobs and securing U.S. leadership on clean energy technologies. Okay, all he did during his first year, reaching net zero emissions economy-wide no later than 2050. That is not achievable. Now he's getting sued by environmental activists while at the same time being sued by the oil and gas industry and by 14 states because of his fossil fuel policies. He's literally being sued by his administration is literally being sued by two opposite ends of the political spectrum because he's so utterly inept. It's been an absolute catastrophe. So you're not going to get net zero emissions by 2050. If you want a functioning economy, okay? Unless there's a technological advance where you have the technology to transform an economy that runs 90% or more on fossil fuels. Diesel fuel runs the U.S. economy. There's a shortage of diesel. Trucks, cargo ships, trains, okay? Commerce runs on diesel. And the components of diesel, urea, other components, there are shortages there. There's shortages of fracking sand for oil rigs, and there's a shortage of steel. There's a shortage of labor. You have supply chain issues. So we can go on forever. 8 to 9% inflation. They're raising interest rates. We're in a recession right now. The third quarter is going to be negative. Also, tell me how there's economic growth in the third quarter if it's down 2%. According to the GDP Now estimate from the Atlanta Fed. And so, please tell me what Trump did to warrant such disdain from even conservatives or Republican strategists. I want to know his personality. You're still focused on his tweets. At what point yes, he pushed the envelope with his tweets and his rhetoric. At what point, though, will you still remember his Twitter account? Will you forget about his Twitter account, Republican strategist and apoplectic, highly educated, morally superior Democrat, when inflation is at 9 to 10%? Because it's at 8 to 9%, it's only going to get worse. When oil prices are at $150 per barrel, because that's going to happen. When Bitcoin is 10,000 or below, because that's going to happen too. And nobody was talking about this in September. So I called this, go to the description section and read the description section. I called this in September. On H.A. Goodman, this channel, the stock market, now it's the nuclear confrontation and stock market crash channel. And I started the oil prices 150, Bitcoin 10K recession channel. So this is what people voted for. You know, if I was a morally superior liberal Democrat, I'd say, you see, you got what you wanted. You have a terrible economy, layoffs everywhere now. You know, everything's going to get worse, and it's all because you focused on his Twitter profile. Like, at what point? So, Cassidy Hutchinson, what she stated was hearsay and gossip. Okay? There was a Uranium One informant, a bureau informant that testified before Congress. Democrats said, oh, there's no proof. It's just his testimony. Then there's Tony Bobulinski, who was willing to testify under oath. He will no doubt testify under oath when Biden gets impeached. And then they'll say, oh, well, it's just his testimony. But there's voicemail with Joe stating that you're in the clear. He talked about his son's business dealings. As emails were sent to Hunter stating, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? And then, coincidentally, a prosecutor's forced out. Then they say, oh, the time frame is it? It's like, these people are hilarious. Like, the whole reason he's getting money from like millions and millions of dollars in business deals is because he has access to the vice president. You don't need a specific time frame. Oh, well, this email was sent and then this happened. You don't need that. There's an obvious arrangement within those hundreds of emails. Just like the Clinton Foundation emails, just like the DNC emails. They can't do anything without corruption being exposed and literally written within their emails. And then with Trump, it's somebody said something bad about him and, oh my God, haven't we had enough? It's like, no, he's going to focus on bringing back the U.S. economy. We had a great economy with Trump. You can say whatever you like. Oh, he's a menace to democracy. Oh, these are the same people who relish an outgoing Democratic administration investigating an incoming Republican administration. Now they want a DOJ investigation of Trump because a year and a half with Kinzinger and Cheney and Adam Schiff didn't lead to anything. So now they say, well, we've heard a lot now. We have to investigate Trump even more. But you haven't investigated him enough? With the Clintons, like the investigations, they tried to cram like 30 years of investigations and suspicion, because this is all about emotion. That's why Hollywood and DC merged together. You have politics and the actors and politicians are the same people. What Democrats and media have done, and like it without media, social media algorithms, Hollywood, every loyalists within the intelligence agencies, loyalists within the government, Peter Strzok saying we'll stop Trump. Without all of those advantages, imagine where Democrats would be now. They have every single possible advantage. That's all going to change in November. So, I mean, the House Oversight and House Judiciary are going to investigate and impeach mashed potato brains. But at the end of the day, like, what do Republicans have? Mitt Romney? Who do you want? Chris Christie? I'm a lifelong Democrat. And I became a supporter of President Trump because he opposes the Lincoln Project, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, never-ending counterinsurgency quagmires and wars and conflicts. He opposes, it's a moral imperative to vote for Trump, who is literally the antithesis of an authoritarian. Authoritarians don't have mean tweets. They control media. That's the Democratic Party and media. Basically, almost all of media is an extension of the Democratic Party. They have the intelligence agencies, authoritarians, and Trump does not. He opposes, and Trump wants to limit foreign interventions and regime changes. It's the Democrats and the Lincoln Project people who want to impose those. That's what an authoritarian and tyrant does. So, and it's always phrased, we're helping these people, we're helping. It's like, no, President Obama, in a failed intervention, absolutely destroyed a country, okay, in Libya. And he even admitted that was his biggest mistake, quote unquote. Meanwhile, if Trump had done that, it would, who knows what they'd say about Trump. The gossip and hearsay about Trump is actually more important to wonderful, morally superior Democrats than the actual emails that show corruption and criminal behavior. But you have, a safety net called media. You have this public relations monstrosity. Anyway, my point is, if he announces before November, that'd be fine. Perfect, he should. That actually gives more momentum to Republicans. Because people throughout the country want to change. And if they know that Trump is going to give them that change, and let's say that'll be better for the Republican Party. Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, Chris Christie, Adam Kinzinger, these are people wouldn't even get 30 or 40 voters to go to a speech at a library. Would you pay $10 to hear Liz Cheney speak anywhere? Would you pay $1? Okay? But Trump goes anywhere, you'll have crowds of thousands of people. Okay? Now, if they indict Trump, then you have DeSantis, who's actually a better politician. So Democrats are up the creek. So yeah, he should announce before November. It actually will help the Republican Party, but, it's all about image now. They don't like his tweets still, his persona, all this stuff. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. Go right now to the in about an hour or so. Go to the Nuclear Confrontation channel and go to the Oil Prices 150 channel. They are below in the description. Thank you so very, very much, and subscribe to both.